Attend the tale of two men named Neil.
Man to woman, woman to man, man to woman, penis in vagina, man to woman, woman to man, man to woman, penis in vagina.
Hello, Alec here. This is the Feuilleton. Join me as we examine the careers of two directors by the name of Neil. One of them, Neil Double L Blomkamp, is a South African who shot to relative superstardom with the release of his most excellent film, District 9, which was, to this day, I think it's an excellent genre picture. I feel that it made the most of its comparatively lower budget, and it also managed to eke out quite the subtle parable having to do with apartheid. And I feel at the time it deserved all the plaudits that it received. I remember seeing it, and I remember being at the movie theater and having to sit at the front, literally the front row center, because it was sold out. And normally I despise the idea of sitting front row center for anything. And this enhanced the experience. I found myself just sitting there and just kind of like following all the missiles. It was thrilling. The other Neil, with a single L, Neil Marshall, is an Englishman who came out swinging with the 1-2 punch of Dog Soldiers and then subsequently The Descent. Dog Soldiers is a most excellent, very fun send-up of the oft-maligned werewolf film about a group of Black Watch soldiers who are being marauded by a family of werewolves in a cabin. And it's amazing. It's so much fun. I often point to that film specifically from an acting perspective because like everybody in the movie reacts believably to being attacked by werewolves. It's sheer panic the entire time. And it's just so much fun. It's a literal bloody good time. His follow-up film, perhaps more celebrated, is The Descent, which was this claustrophobic bit of folk horror about a group of spelunkers who get marauded by an ancient evil. And it's nihilistic, and there's this constant sense of dread that runs throughout the whole movie, and it's wonderful. It is both puzzling and sad, then, that both of these Neils, whether they have one L in their name or two L's, they have since gone on to do literally nothing to warrant the goodwill afforded to them in the years hence. Now, the vagaries of having a career in Hollywood are many and far-reaching and will understandably and almost inevitably break down the willpower of even the most stalwart of artistes. I remember like a latter-day interview with Robert Altman, who said that even then he was having trouble getting pictures made. In the case of Neil Blomkamp, the man was coming down near universal critical praise, Oscar nominations, the works. So it stands to reason that he would be given a blank check to make his next film, and that resultant picture was Elysium, which was a boring, middling, generic mess of a movie that gave rise to the term Netflix film before such a term even existed. His follow-up film to that, Chappie, was so bad that I couldn't even finish watching it. And I watch literally anything. I never leave anything unfinished. And if it means coming up with a coherent opinion about something, I will watch most things to their completion. I couldn't do it with that. It seems that for all of their visual flair, that Neil Blomkamp fared much better with a shoestring budget and an indie director's sense of desperation. Now, Neil Marshall's fall from grace has been even sadder and even more puzzling. Doomsday, his follow-up to The Descent, was fun if entirely generic Mad Max-derived poke at post-apocalyptic action. Centurion, the follow-up film to that, was yet another generic action film, only this one took place in the dying throes of the Roman Empire, and it was solid enough, but again, middling at best. And I mean every subsequent feature-length film that he has directed has been just one artistic abortion after another. It says something that of all of his post-2010 feature-length offerings, that his remake of Hellboy, which was universally despised, is the best one. And it seems as if he has been somehow indentured or otherwise shackled to writing and directing starring vehicles for his paramour, actress Charlotte Kirk, in this sort of Samuel Beckett-like time loop of straight-to-shutter purgatory. If you watch The Reckoning and The Lair, it's crazy to think that this is even the same person who directed The Descent or Dog Soldiers. There is just no joy to be found in these movies. It's like he's stuck in this Uwe Boll-derived tax write-off, where films are just merely shat out without any regard for performances, budget, script, special effects. They seem to exist purely as vanity projects for shout queen Charlotte Kirk, who, to my eyes, has yet to demonstrate anything resembling screen appeal, let alone the ability to write a coherent screenplay. Now, what I'm about to say may come off as a bit sexist, and I certainly do not mean it to. I am not one of those dingbats who thinks that Courtney killed Kurt, or that Yoko Ono was responsible for the Beatles' breakup. Anyone who thinks that way has some serious introspection to do and should probably brush up on their attitudes about women as well. I do, however, have a theory that is based on pure conjecture that Charlotte Kirk has something on Neil Marshall, possibly having to do with her own Hollywood sex scandal from around 2013 or so, that then indentures him to direct these masturbatory and ultimately pointless vehicles for her. Or perhaps the prospect of Marshall holding on to a pretty young thing via a woman 20 years, his junior, is really that irresistible to him, and more power to him in that case. More power to both of them. Keep getting these movies made. Either way, his current filmography is a sorry, nay, tragic state of affairs, given how good his first two films were. So, with Double L Neil still ensconced in the futile act of clawing back upward vis-a-vis middling genre films a la Demonic and the Why Do It Gran Turismo, which I forgot about. I didn't like, why? And with Neil Marshall having released two more awful films that were co-written and starring his paramour as of 2024, it does not seem as if either filmmaker is going to be crawling their way out of this cinematic sarlacc pit anytime soon. I will be rooting for them, however. It bears mentioning that I did not found this channel as a means to needlessly shit on things or to rant. I do genuinely want these two filmmakers to go back to doing good, exciting films. So how do we fix this? In Marshall's case, he needs to find the joy in his work once more. Perhaps he should put up an artistic boundary between himself and Kirk in an effort to find his voice once again. Neil Blomkamp might find it more difficult because he is, comparatively speaking, a director of bigger pictures that often have some manner of box office draw. So who knows? I'm hoping that they'll both come out of this, and I'm hoping that we'll get good movies from them at some point in the near future. The outlook is grim, however. So, there you have it. Remember, there are but three certainties in this crazy world: pee-pee, poo-poo, and death. Kisses.
Man to woman to man to woman, penis in vagina. Man to woman to man to woman, penis in vagina.